Hi, I'm Sheree from the Monroe County Library System, and today I want to talk to you about award-winning children's books. This is the time of year where awards are being given for music and movies, and it is also a great time to share some of the most wonderful children's award-winning books. One of the awards that is given in January is for the best book of the previous year, the most outstanding achievement in literature for children, and this year's winner is When You Trap a Tiger. This is the story of Lily, who's comes from India. Her family has a lot of cultural ties to India, though they live in America now. And when Lily and her mother go to stay with her grandmother, who is ill, Lily starts to experience more of the stories and the food and the magic of her Indian culture through her grandma. Her grandma tells her a story about seeing a tiger and taking the stories from that tiger, who now wants them back. And when Lily begins to see the tiger, she becomes convinced that if she can find enough stories to return to the tiger, it will save her grandma. It's a beautiful, magical story about a culture that I didn't know anything about and loved learning about. And it's also a really moving and touching family story. So that's When You Trap a Tiger. When You Trap a Tiger is the winner, but there are also awards given to honors books, kind of like a runner-up, and I wanted to mention those. The Newbery honor books this year begin with All 13, the incredible cave rescue of the Thai boys soccer team. This is unusual because it's not a fiction book, it's a nonfiction book about a very real event in 2018 when boys on a Thai soccer team went on a field trip to a cave and were trapped there. This book takes you through minute by minute what's happening to the boys, what's happening to their rescuers, what the plan is to get them out. It has incredible photographs and a lot of quotes and information from the boys themselves who were interviewed for the book. So that is All 13. Another really interesting choice for a Newbery Honor book is Box. Henry Brown Mails Himself to Freedom. This is the story of an American slave who has been living in slavery for many years. When he was born into it in 1815, his family is eventually sold away from him, and when he thinks he has nothing else to lose, he decides to work with abolitionists on an amazing plan where he is going to build a box, get in it, and be shipped to freedom. It happens in 1849. He writes his story in 1851 about his life and his experiences. This is an incredible looking book. It's an incredible book to read. And while it looks like a picture book, don't be fooled that it's only for younger kids. Fantastic story told in a poetry format. Amazing book. I also want to mention the Newbery Honor book, Fighting Words. This is by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley. This is the story of a little girl, her name is Della. She is 10 years old, and she and her sister have escaped a very abusive family situation at home. They are now with a foster mom, and as Bella and her sister both start to realize all the impact of what's happened to them, this is the story of how they come to those understandings and survive what's happened to them. Keep in mind that this is a book that has a lot of intense subject matter for kids, but I can recommend it thoroughly, I would say, for kids in 6th grade and up. It's a really powerful story. Another honor book is We Dream of Space by Erin and Trotta Kelly. This book touched me so much. I love this author. I have some of her other books here, so if you enjoy her, read more. This particular book is about 3 siblings. 2 are twins, and 1 has failed 7th grade, so that now they are all in 7th grade together. And each one of them is trying to cope with their own issue. One of the boys has a terrible anger problem. One of the boys, the one who's flunked and is being held back into 7th grade, feels that he's not good at anything, can't succeed. And then there's their sister, Bird, who dreams of being the captain of the space shuttle. And when their science teacher starts to give them assignments and information about the upcoming space shuttle mission, takes place in 1980, let me make sure I have this right, takes place in 1986, right before the Challenger mission is launched. Now, for those of you who know about that event, it ended very tragically, and that is addressed in the book, but it also addresses how that event impacts these three kids, how they come together in the end. And again, it's about surviving the things that you struggle with. Beautiful book, great author. Last honor book I want to mention is A Wish in the Dark by Christina Suntornvat. And it is a Thai-based story, so you learn all about Thai culture in this story. There is a women's prison where women who have children are kept in the prison as well. And when one of these little boys escapes the prison, the story becomes all about his adventures and how he begins to experience the outside world in a way that he has never ever known. The cover itself is amazingly magical and beautiful. I am halfway through this one and I can't wait to finish because it keeps you wondering what's going to happen next. I also want to mention some other great books for older readers. There is the Coretta Scott King Award, which is given to the best book written by an African-American author. This year's book is Before the Ever After by Jacqueline Woodson. You can see that it's not long, and it's all about a boy named ZJ. His dad is a professional football player and a great dad. And ZJ and his dad have a wonderful life together, going to games and loving the sport of football. But when ZJ's dad starts to experience anger and memory issues, they both start to realize that it's all the years of playing football that may have affected his dad's brain, and now they have to figure out how to cope with that. It's a wonderful story. She is a fantastic author, Jacqueline Woodson. Read everything she writes. The Pura Belpré Award is given to the best book authored by a Latinx author. This year's winner is Efren Divided, written by Ernesto Cisneros, who is a teacher in California and has always longed to write about his experience and the experience of many of his immigrant students. So many of his students come from undocumented families, and their particular struggles and fears with immigration and the fight to stay in this country and keep their families whole is heartbreakingly told in this story. Efren's mom is deported back to Mexico, and he is left to take care of his younger siblings while his dad tries to make enough money to find a way to bring his mother back. The story ends in a very ambiguous way, but I think it will increase the understanding of immigration issues and create a lot of empathy for kids towards kids that are experiencing these things. Last, I want to mention there's an Excellence in Nonfiction Award given. This year, that award went to The Rise and Fall of Charles Lindbergh by Candace Fleming. Again, fantastic author. She writes incredible nonfiction books. Clearly, this one is about Charles Lindbergh. He was the first man to fly solo across the Atlantic in 1927 when flight was very, very early, in the early stages of development. That was all that I really knew about him until I started to read this book, and it is fascinating what his childhood is like, what his initial flight is like, but then also the path that his life takes, which is getting more and more involved in politics, and politics that are not always popular, and creating a whole different view of Charles Lindbergh than we have if we just know him as that famous pilot. What he meant to America when he made that flight, and how famous he was, and how the kidnapping of his son affected him and his wife for the rest of their lives. All of those things were fascinating to me. It's an incredible book and a fast read because, again, you just want to keep knowing more and more about him. Those are some of the great award winners that I've been reading that I wanted to share with you. If you want to know more about these books or to get a complete list, including those that are award-winning books for illustration, you can go to ALA, that's for the American Library Association, ALA.org Youth Media Awards, and the complete list is there. All of these books are also available at the library, not only in their regular book form, but many of them are available online. You only need a library card to check them out. If you don't have a library card, call your nearest branch, tell them what you need, and they'll get you a card really quickly. You can pick things up at curbside, or you can make an appointment to come in and browse for yourself. Thanks so much, friends. See you later. Bye.